Okay, so a quick video on loneliness. Loneliness, it's cliche to say it, but you can be lonely in a crowded room. That's very true. Um, I would say at the core of loneliness, I I personally find it to be I can feel lonely even talking one on one with someone. Um, because for instance, maybe they're on the phone and you're talking to them, so they're not really paying attention to you. That's an example. But um, you know, also if they just don't understand what you're saying, so it's kind of, I mean, it is kind of like you're talking to yourself. You don't feel heard. So any thoughts that you have are just still stuck in your head. They haven't stuck to anything outside of your head. It's just all still just in your head. No one's received it. No one's taken it seriously. Um, and for me, that can actually trigger more loneliness than actually being just alone. Um, and I find that it makes it harder to engage in conversations because it all just feels pointless at that point. Um, so basically, yeah, not being heard, not being taken seriously. Create a feeling of loneliness. Of course, yeah, being in a crowded place, being at a party or something, and you're just sat on the side can be very uncomfortable, very lonely. Um, but yeah, even in your everyday life with people that you know, and just knowing that you haven't actually been heard, um, especially if someone only talks about themselves, like it's everything you say becomes about their problems. It's yeah, it's hard. Um, so I mean, there there are ways to combat it. Um, it depends on the person really. So there's no way I would ever be able to address every single type of loneliness and how to deal with it. But um, engage brain, engage brain. Um, I was going to do this as two separate videos, but I'm going to do this as one. Hopefully, it's a very short amount of time to get it done in though. Um, so I'm going to go into respect. What So I'll start off with what respect actually means. So people forget when they use the word respect, or they just don't acknowledge that respect is actually two different things. So you can respect someone and not respect someone, in effect. Um, so when you say you're disrespecting me, and they say, no, but I do respect you. I have a lot of respect for you. Both are very true, but that's because, as I label it, you have they have a lot of admirational or admirable respect for you. So they like things about you. They admire you. Maybe doesn't have to be admiring, but it's some they like things about you. Might whatever that is. Might be your sense of humor. It might be just the things that you come out with, things you do, things that you've achieved. Whatever it is, there's things that they like about you, and so that's like what I would call admiration or respect. And then you've got consequential respect, and so when they overstep your boundaries, it's because they don't have very much consequential respect for you, even if they like you. Um, so So you basically need to be able to make yourself heard. Um, and I've had success with this, and you might have to go out of your comfort zone a little bit, but at the same time, it's actually easier if you remember, if you just consider that people aren't respecting you, they're disrespecting you, so there should be a bit of an annoyance from that. Um, Plus, you're teaching them to disrespect you, in a sense. So if you're, what you'd consider like being a walkover, and you're also the person at work that ends up, like, say, doing all the overtime when that's needed, like, oh, can you stay on because such and such, or extra tasks, whatever it is that isn't fair, and you're the walkover, not getting the pay rise when other people do, things like that. Um, then you need to so it's not your fault, in the sense that this is who you are, and it's this is you couldn't help it. Of course, that's how life's led you to be, whatever. But on the other hand, you do have to blame yourself, because you're the one teaching people that it's acceptable to do that. And the reason why I say that really is because a lot of actions are done subconsciously, and so people will push the boundaries unless you enforce them. People might not know they're walking over your boundaries, or people might do, but their subconscious just like goes through it anyway, and just does that for their own benefit. So you have to teach them where the boundaries are. So that means you've got to know what's important to you, and if anyone gets close to those boundaries, you have to bark. So if you've got a pillar and everything, this pillar in a field is everything that's important to you and you cherish, and you'd be offended if anyone messes with anything on this pillar. Now, people might walk into this field and just start graffitiing it or peeing on it, whatever. They don't see, they don't have any respect for it. They're just walking all over you, basically. But then if you chain a dog to it, and that dog will bark and keep everything back. And so that's basically your self-defense. That's you actually guarding yourself, like. So you obviously you don't want your chain to be too long, because you don't want to be too oversensitive, but you have to like be giving people a sign that something's not okay. So you've got to add consequences to things, and maybe good consequences to when people treat you right. So but people will learn very quickly if you start actually taking on that mindset. um, and I'd also advise looking into things, you know building on your body language, and like how to stand, and how to perhaps take up more room and feel more confident. So um, there's a lot of work you can actually do on yourself that's very very simple. um, but people are not going to take offense to you standing up for yourself. If they do, then they're in the wrong, and it's very normal. It's very normal. You think about the people that that don't get asked to do certain things, and do get the pay rises, promotion, whatever it is. They're the people that do make it known. Everyone knows what they like and don't like. They had consequences. So you just displaying, I mean, a consequence can even be like someone crying. It can be like, showing that you're sad. It doesn't have to be like being angry and barking, like, but it's when people know, because obviously people are impacted by emotions. Well, most of us are impacted by the emotions of other people. So even that is a negative consequence for a bad action they've done. So just being expressive in some way, like, is very important. And what that leads to is actually being heard more, and therefore less lonely. So um, yeah, I think the two subjects work well together. So I'll leave it there.